Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy, the dope ass dude, and I am so excited about tonight's show. And I'm excited about everything that is going to happen and the guests and how you are going to leave inspired tonight. So, you already know if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, if you don't mind going ahead, subscribing to the YouTube channel. And while you're there, click on notifications so you can be notified each and every time a new podcast is uploaded to the site. And then also go ahead and click on like so that this podcast can get shared with others just like you. Now, if you're not following me on Instagram and TikTok, you can follow me on both platforms at the Dope Ass Dude Podcast. So you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok, the Dope Ass Dude Podcast. And then if you are on the go, you can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Again, that's Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And then, of course, you already know you can watch it live right now. Some of you are watching it on Facebook. You can watch it on LinkedIn, X, which used to be Twitter, and you can watch it on YouTube. So again, you can each Monday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, you can catch it live on Facebook, LinkedIn, X, and YouTube. And just a couple of little things before we get started. If you want, you can go ahead and go out there and follow Mama Sue. She is on Instagram, and on Instagram, she is Mama Sue Music, TikTok, Mama Sue Roseberry, and on Facebook, she has a page, Mama Sue Roseberry. So again, on Instagram, Mama Sue Music, TikTok, Mama Sue Roseberry, and on Facebook, Mama Sue Roseberry. So go out, follow her there because she places amazing content. And then she also does melodic moments where she comes in, she'll sing a little bit of a song, but she always leave you inspired to be the greatest version of yourself. So I'm really excited to have Sue on the podcast on tonight. I've known her over 15 years. We both worked in GMWA, Gospel Music Workshop of America, and I met Sue at one of our Texas Mass. She was, and still may be, the chapter rep of the Midland chapter. And I never forget, I heard her sing, and she had an ensemble. This was the first time they ever came to Texas Mass. And they were like so amazing. Harmonies were tight. The backgrounds were really crisp and everything. And then the next time I heard Sue sing again, it was at another Texas Mass, and she was singing with the Houston Mass, I think, or Patrick Williams group, and she sung an arrangement of Blessed Assurance. And that night I became a fan, honestly, because with Sue, she can give you church all the way to worship, all the way to gut bucket. She'll squall you down, and then she'll come back and tell you a story after she finishes. So I'm so excited to have Sue on here. And it is so funny. I was talking with a friend on yesterday, and I think, I'm honored that Sue was on Sunday's Best, and a lot of you, that's how you got to know Sue. But Sue is such a big being. I mean, she's so much bigger than Sunday's Best. And I wanted to introduce you guys to her, to the Sue that I've known for years. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Sue on out here.
Hey,
Sue,
hey,
what is going on?
it's you. I was listening. I said, I need to do like the little boy peeping over in the casket. Is that my daddy? What you talking about?
Sue, so what's been happening with you? What's been going on?
Oh, listen, it is off to the races every single day. But I'm just excited. I'm alive, and I just have a whole lot that I want to do every day.
Yeah. So how do you manage that though? Because you are, and we'll get into this, but you're like this creative genius. So how do you balance, being mom, grandma, church musician, creative genius? How do you balance all of that stuff?
Well, it just kind of, if you've ever been a mother, then you have to prioritize whatever needs attention at that moment. And so you just kind of do what seems to be the uh, most impactful at that moment. But I do have problems sometimes saying no. And I find that I have bitten off a little bit more than I can chew. And in those moments, then I repent and ask the Lord to help me to make it through. And then I say I'm not gonna do it again. And I usually end up doing it again.
So you still struggle with saying no? Because I think you've told me no about 5 times.
No, I have not. I have not. Now you get that right. I have not.
So, but seriously, you struggle with saying no from time to time?
Well, I do because if people, sometimes maybe it comes easy for everybody else, but I'm such an independent soul until if I ask somebody to do something, then I really need their help. And I always think that everybody is like me. If I had to break down and ask you for something, please know I need it so bad because otherwise I would just handle it myself. I'd do it myself. I'd make it happen. But if I have to ask, I feel like I really need it. And I think everybody asking me probably has that same thing going on. And so I don't want to refuse somebody when they really, really need something.
Hmm. Yeah, and the funny thing, I'm similar to you too. I always tell people when, because I believe just how you believe is, you said my thought. If someone asks it, they must really need it. Yeah,
Yeah,
so I do feel guilty saying no sometimes as well.
because I don't ask people for stuff. I mean, I'm a boomer, proud of it. I'm a boomer, and we are just known. That's part of the DNA. You just handle it, Stanley. So you just go and do what you got to do. So I just always feel like if people ask me that they really have some innate desire, and I want to be found being helpful if I can.
Wow, wow. And Sue, like I told you, and I see this person just came into the chat. So yesterday, and a big shout out to Yolanda Hargrove. She actually does all my shirts. She creates everything that I wear here. I don't know what I'm gonna get until she drops it off for me. And I am just really appreciative of her. But yesterday we met to give me, pick up the shirts that I was gonna wear and everything. So she was like, "Are you like nervous for tomorrow?" And I was like, "No, I know Sue, And she was like, "But she's a celebrity." I was like,
Ooh, Yolanda, you got a low threshold. Threshold for celebrity.
"Sue, you are like a celebrity." You don't think so?
I don't feel like it. I don't feel like it.
So I know like you work in GMWA, you're still working with Texas Mass and everything. So
Mhm.
and you're a musician at a local church there in Midland, right?
I am. I'm the minister of music at Macedonia Baptist Church. Mm.
Okay, and how long have you been there?
I've been in Macedonia about 2 years, and prior to that, I was at my church as a minister of music for 40 years.
40? Oh, so okay, so that's a story right there by itself. So you were there for 40 years. How did you leave?
Well, I say now the Lord did not create the pandemic so I could make a change. But sometimes there are things that need to be done and you need to shift around and do some things. And I'm so loyal and so, just I'm going to stick it out. I'm going to stay come what may. I feel like the shift during the pandemic gave me a chance to really kind of see some things real clearly that I needed to do personally. And that involved my making a switch in ministry. I didn't know when I was leaving where I was going. I had the Abraham, you know, just go. and I'm going to show you. And I was like, but Lord, where I'm going, what, you know, but God worked it out. And in a very short period of time, I was engaged and ministering at another church where I really feel like what I had to offer, God needed to bring it to that place.
And
So
Sue, that is one of the reasons, like, why I truly love you, because you, and I share this with you a little bit, that you're constantly evolving. You know, you're constantly, you don't get stuck. And a lot of people at our age, and I'm 50, about to be 52, and it's like people count us out. They tell us once we get a certain age, hey, you're too old to do this here, or someone your age shouldn't do that. But you left a church you were at 40 years, and that's kind of like, that would be unheard of, because if you left there at 40, you didn't start playing there day one of your life. So you had to be, a little bit of age.
I was
That wasn't
27 back in 1981. Yeah, yeah, a long
yeah.
time ago.
So how did you, like, were you afraid to make that change?
Yes, and I think that I learned something at that juncture. I learned a lot of things at that juncture that I would not have learned, I don't think, if we hadn't been in the world slow down, shut down period that we were in. But when you are alone and you have lots of time to really think, I think a lot of times we get boxed into situations, sometimes that are not in our best interest, only because we have so much passion for what we're doing, and we project what we hope onto things instead of what it really is. You know, you just see him and say, "Oh, he's short. You never wanted to marry anybody short." I know, but when he stands on a box, he's tall enough. And so we project things onto what we hope it will be, instead of really taking the time to really see it for what it is. And those 2 years or year and a half or whatever it was really gave me a chance to really look at my own self, what I was doing, how I was feeling about what I was doing, and all of those things really closely, and tell the Lord, look, you know, if there's the need for a change, and I'm ready now to yield and just say whatever it is you have for me to do.
Yeah. And how did you know you were ready?
I just knew I couldn't continue to do what I was doing. I didn't know what I was gonna do. See, that's another part, because when you are, I call myself type A. That sounds better than saying anal, but I like to be in control. And I really wanted the Lord, if the Lord would let me, I would kind of tell him how to run things. But I I didn't know where I was going, what I was going to do, and what had to be done, but I knew it couldn't be this anymore. So I had to just bring myself to a point of saying, well, Lord, I'm just going to take a step at a time. I don't know where it's going. I can't say I'm headed from here to California. I may be going to Luxembourg. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm not going back there. And that's kind of how it evolved, and that's what happened.
Wow. And so everybody watching, y'all see, this is kind of like why I love Sue, because again, she's a risk taker, and she steps out and she trusts. I mean, they call it now trust the process. That's what we, want everybody says, trust the
Okay.
process. Yeah, she trusts that process. She didn't know where she was going to end up, but she knew she was going to end up somewhere. And you just stepped out. And that's amazing, Sue.
Well, it was pretty different. Years ago, when I went to college, I went to a Christian Brothers College in Santa Fe. Now, I'm a little Kojic girl, born and raised. But when I got to Santa Fe, there was no church that I was familiar with. There wasn't a large demographic of African Americans. And I didn't have a car. So if I wanted to go to church, I had to go to the Catholic worship services. I had to go to the Catholic services, and I went, and I met the Christian brothers, and I tried to understand what it was that they were feeling and experiencing in their denomination. And that was kind of the beginning of me experiencing things that were outside the realm of what I had been reared in. And so over the course of my life, I have been lots of different places. I've had the opportunity to minister at the Unitarian Church, Catholic Church, places where people, you know, I've talked to people who are, they don't believe in God and whoever. But my my relationship has been that I've always felt like it was I needed to be responsible for showing them not that they were wrong, but that there was a more excellent way.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Okay, so we're gonna kind of like jump around a little bit tonight. So I know everyone is logged in. They want to hear about Sunday's Best. So how did you get on Sunday's Best? Because Sue, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know you was gonna be on Sunday's Best. I think somebody called me up week two and they was like, Sue Roseberry on Sunday's Best. And the first thing I said, well, what is Sunday's Best? Because I didn't even watch the show. So I was like, what is Sunday's Best? And then I look on there and here you go. And I got a funny story about Sue tonight that what's her name? I think it was Tina Campbell. She called you Mama Sue. And she said, can I call you Mama Sue? I said, she ain't no Mama Sue. Because, I just see you as this young, vibrant person. I'm like, and then it hit me. I was like, Sue do got grown kids. So, yeah, she is Mama Sue. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. So, how did you end up on Sunday's Best?
I say that was a midlife crisis. I was 55. 55.
Wow.
I had turned the double nickel, and somebody sent me an email out of the blue and just said they're doing Sunday Best auditions, and I'm saying it like the lady who sent it to me. Her name is Evelyn. She said they're doing Sunday Best auditions. You ought to go try out. And I said, Sunday Best, what is that? I didn't even know what it was because I hadn't watched it myself. Because when it would come on Sunday, I was always at YPWW, in the evening, Sunday evening at the training union. So I started looking at it and I said, oh, that's interesting. Well, I really didn't think very much about it. And then it just kept turning over in my head, y'all to go try out. And I thought, well, let me see what it is, what's involved. And the auditions were in Dallas and they were in Atlanta and Los Angeles, I think that year. And I could not make the audition that was in Dallas, which is closest to me. It's like 5 hours. But I couldn't make the one in California either. I would have flown there. But the only one that I could make was in Atlanta. And on a whim, just like maybe like today is Wednesday and it's coming up Saturday. And I said to my girlfriend, I said, hey, I was thinking I might go try out for Sunday Best. I said, you want to ride to Atlanta? And she said, yeah, I'll go with you. See, that's why it's good to surround yourself with people who believe in you, because I would have never gone by myself. I wouldn't have. If she had said no, I would have just said, oh, well, that's too far for me to go by myself. I'm not going. But she said, oh, yeah, I'll go with you. And she did. And we drove all the way from Midland, 20 plus hours to Atlanta to audition for Sunday Best. I was going to audition. She was just going with me. And we got to Atlanta and crashed in a hotel for a few hours, got up to go find some Kentucky Fried Chicken. I kid you not, because if you're on the road, you want Kentucky Fried Chicken. And I said, let's go find that and find the church, because it was at E. Dewey Smith's church in Atlanta. I said, let's go see where the church is, and then we'll know where to go in the morning. This is on Friday afternoon, about 3:30, 4 o'clock. And when we get there, people are already lined up outside.
The day before?
The day before, on that Friday afternoon, like at 4 o'clock, people have already lined up.
Oh, wow.
And I said, oh my God. And I said, there'll probably be thousands of people here. And I was trying to hurry up and audition because I needed to drive back home because I was supposed to be on program at my church for Women's Day on Saturday. So we were just going to drive. I'm telling you the crazy things that we think of sometimes. Anyway, that really happened.
So do you
So,
still have the black BMW?
no, 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 I don't still have that anymore. But
Okay.
anyway, that's a whole nother story about these luxury cars that ain't no luxury to you. But anyway, I went ahead and stayed for the audition, and I was fortunate enough to be selected. There were thousands of people there, and if I had been in Dallas, I would have left. It would have just been too many people, and I would have just said, oh no, this is not for me, because I was already skeptical because I didn't want anybody telling me I didn't have the oil. I didn't want them saying that, oh, she ain't got the oil, and I thought, who are you to tell me I don't have the oil? So I didn't want to hear that. And I didn't want to I didn't know really what to expect. 55, and I thought, well, they probably gonna say she too old, all of these things. But the year before that, they had Elder Goldwire. Remember him?
I'm
He was
telling
an
you.
older gentleman that was like in his 70s, I think.
Oh wow. Okay.
And so, but I didn't know that. But anyway, they had me on there, and it was a wonderful experience. It was like summer camp, where you go through some intense something experience with other people that are in the same boat with you, and never the twain you'll never do anything like that again, so it's just
Yeah.
one of those one of a kind experiences.
Yeah. So what did you sing for your audition?
I sang If It Had Not Been for the Lord on My Side.
So let's hear a little bit of it.
If it had not been for the Lord on my side, tell me where would I be? I want to know, where would I be? And that's about all you get to sing, just a little snippet like that. And then they decide, they have you in a room like a firing squad. It's 30 people with a number on, and all 30 of you, you give your name, tell where you're from, hit a little bit of what you're going to do, and then they say next, 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 on down. And then they say, well, let's have number so and so and number so and so. You stay, and the rest of you, thank you so much.
And then, so did y'all have to go through another process, or the numbers that they picked? That was we headed to record the show.
No, they go through another process after they picked you. Then we got to go before the judges. It was Tina and
Erica.
Erica that year, and Donnie McClurkin. I went before them, and then they get to say what they think. And I guess they capture footage. But here's the deal, y'all. It's television. So at that moment, I didn't know. And when they're telling you you're going, you don't know that they are selecting a large number of people, more than what they actually need for the show, because they have to vet all of these people.
Hmm.
They got to do background checks, find out if you're an ex-murderer, if you wanted in 7 states, and all that kind of stuff before they put you on TV saying, here she is, Sunday Best, and she stabbed her husband. They got to do all that stuff. So they go through, and then of course I'm sure there's a panel and producers and a whole team that makes the selection. So they try, because it's television, and I'm not mad at them about that. They're looking to build their viewership. So they try to get somebody old, somebody young, somebody light, somebody tall, that will appeal to a vast demographic of people, to draw them in to watch the show. And very quickly, people who watch these types of shows hurry up and decide on, their favorites. and they're supporting and watching and cheering on those individuals. So that's kind of how it goes. Yeah.
Wow. And so once you got on the show, I know were you on there when Kim Burrell was your vocal coach?
Uh-huh.
Okay, how was that experience? Because I
It was
mean,
good.
yeah, because she's amazing. I mean, I know she gets slammed on the internet sometimes, social media
Mhm.
sometimes, but behind the scenes when you work with her, you talk, she's pretty good. She's pretty knowledgeable of what she's doing.
She's very knowledgeable. And but the only thing that I never experienced, I really didn't get very much help when I was on the show. I kept wondering, well, tell me something I can be doing more. Or, and I kept thinking they just gonna say she ain't gonna change, so just let her keep on singing like she's singing. We ain't gonna try to tell her nothing because she gonna keep on singing just like she's singing. But when I had my one-on-one with the vocal coaches and stuff, they would make suggestions and different things. But I will tell you that Kim was the one who told me when one of the songs I did, which became very well known, was "Jesus is Love." They were going to do this show where they wanted everybody to sing a love song. So they had given me some song by some artist, a secular song. I don't listen to a lot of secular music, but I didn't know the song. But when I listened to it, I thought that can't be about love. That's talking about a breakup. And then they said I pointed it out to the producers because I was old enough to just say, "Hey, that ain't no good song for no wedding song." So they went to searching around. What other song do we have? Mechanical License. What other song can we use? And then they said Ave Maria, and I said that's about death. And then they went on. So finally they said, what about Jesus is Love? And I said, well, he is love. I can sing about Jesus is love. The Commodores, and then Kim said, when you get up there to sing it, she said, just add it and put something in there about, about a wedding. So I just on the fly standing up there and I said, and while we're standing at the altar, Lord, teach them to love one another.
Oh wow.
And so it became a wedding song. And believe it or not, I've had people to fly me to different places to sing that at their wedding.
So can you sing us a little bit of it tonight?
Well, let me see. I have to think about the lyrics for a minute. Let me marinate on it a little while because that was 11 years ago. So let me think. Let it marinate a little bit.
Okay, so what is the song you went home on?
Um, Heaven, I think. Heaven, heaven, heaven. I
Karen,
need heaven, heaven all the way.
and you went home on, did you pick that song?
No, you don't pick none of your songs. They pick songs for you. They pick songs, I think, based on your audition. They kind of have a team and they all sit around and say, this would be a good song for her. She sounds like she could sing this. And they give you songs. So you don't choose any of your songs. It's a game. That's what people don't understand. It's a game. And for a lot of the people that watch the show, we die hard church folk and we just, the Lord, we be trying to say the Lord, but they wouldn't think about the Lord, the Lord.
So if there was one song you could have sung on the show, what would have been that song?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe a hymn like Draw Me Nearer.
You want to sing a little bit of us for us now?
Look,
See, you
I
can't go.
am thine, O Lord. I have heard thy voice, and it told thy love to me. But I long to rise in the arms of faith and be closer drawn to thee.
Oh, I love it.
It's
I
my
love it.
favorite hymn, Draw
Oh
Me
wow.
Nearer.
Okay, I love it. I love it. I love it. So since that, so how did in that moment, because it's so many amazing things that has happened for you since that moment. And
Hmm.
but in that moment, like when we just gonna say a lose for a lack of words, but we know it was a game because it opened so many doors for you. But
Hmm.
in that moment, did it feel like a lose to you, or
No, and here's the deal. When you were sent home, you don't really know all that took place because they had you so sequestered. Like I never saw the other singers. I don't know what the other people did until they aired the show.
so y'all were in a soundproof room or something?
Yeah, and we were in the studio and we were in another part of the studio where we did not hear or see anything that was going on. And we'd come out and you do what you did on the stage and you heard your critique and then you went on back wherever you were. Well, you may have been released after the show, but you don't know what it was in comparison to or who was still there or what. So I never felt like, I was in competition with anybody but myself
Wow.
to
and
do the
i
best that I could do.
and I always thought it was like Sister Act 2, when the kids were standing on the side of the stage watching the other choir sing.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Wow.
We didn't get to hear them. Mm-mm. And after you were released, now you may could have wangled you a seat in the audience to see the rest of the show after you were let go. But I was like number 4 in season 11. But I always say I didn't win, but I won. That's the way I describe it
Mhm.
because it opened up so many doors. And I was given an opportunity for exposure at a level that I would have never been able to do on my own. God did that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it enlarged my territory, and I'll always be grateful for that.
Yeah, and I just think, in those moments when we are going through those in real time, it's happening to us in real time. A lot of times we do get lost in, oh, I lost, but we don't realize it's really a game because, like you said, you got exposure, which led to so many other connections, and it was a game. It was just God's way of getting you to that next phase of your life, which is amazing.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was good. It was good.
Wow. So let's talk about Sue before this here because everybody I know Sue, the storyteller, the songwriter, the playwriter, the actress, all of this stuff. So Sue, have you always known you were like a creative genius?
Yeah, I think I did. I think I did. I grew up in an extended family household. I was the only girl. I had 3 brothers, and my grandmother and granddaddy lived in the house with us, as well as other miscellaneous relatives that used to come to town. Whenever they'd come to New Mexico to find work, they always started off at our house. And so it was always lots of people around. And I've always enjoyed sharing what I could do creatively, whether that was coloring or drawing. Like some people don't know, I can draw. I mean, I can draw figures, I can paint, I can draw. I whatever it was I was able to do creatively, I always loved doing that. And so the opportunity to put a smile on somebody's face and make them a little bit happy was just something that was a real turn on for me. So I've always done some kind of entertainment.
Yeah, and I saw on your website like you've written over 200 songs, right? You've written over 200 songs. So, like, how does your process work for you when you're writing songs? How does that happen?
Well, I say I'm really a song hearer because I hear the music already together. And there have been times when I have even questioned, did I already hear that? Was that on the radio somewhere? And I'm just, I'm plagiarizing, taking somebody's music. But I hear words, music, background, vocals, everything. I hear it all together like it's already a complete song. And then I just repeat what I heard.
And then
Hmm.
you just go from there. Okay, so that's songwriting. Now you've written plays. So how does that process work for you?
Usually it's from an experience or something that I've been impacted by. I wrote a play about one of the first African American uh, doctor in Midland to come to the Midland area, and I got a chance to meet Dr. Coleman, and I was so impressed with her and her journey until I wanted to highlight what she had done. So I wrote a play about Black women, past and present, that featured her and some other ladies in our community that were kind of, iconic or had worked in our community and wrote about their lives and different things like that, or things for children. A lot of the plays that I have written have been connected with Easter program, Christmas program, things that we needed in church, but we didn't have the product. It didn't sound like us. It didn't feel like us. So I just start writing out of a necessity to
Wow.
create something that would more closely reflect who we are.
Wow. So I'm going somewhere with that. So we got songwrite, playwright, and your storytelling. And you've done your storytelling on national platforms. So let's talk about that. How did you get into that?
Well, I was working at the oil industry. I was a landman. I worked for 35 years as in the oil industry, and part of my job was working with Title I schools and doing community budgets or sharing money in the community with these Title I schools. So they asked us about having some money to have a storyteller, and I thought, storyteller, what is that? And they said, we would like to have somebody. Some man was coming and they needed to pay him, and they asked for the money, and I gave him the money to have him come, and they said, we want you to come hear him, what he's going to do for the children. So I went to the school and I heard him get up there and he told this story, and I thought to myself, if I'd have heard him before we gave him this money, they wouldn't have never got it. He was just terrible. He was horrible. And I kept looking at the children thinking, y'all didn't get nothing out of that. So I said to the principal at the school, I said, listen, if you ever need another storyteller, I said, just call me. I'll come tell you a story. Because I was always telling stories at church or in, to my grandchildren. And sure enough, she called me. She said, we're having Texas Day. Can you come and tell a story? I said, oh, okay, I will. So I went to the school and told the story. And from that, word of mouth started going around. You should have heard Sue Roseberry. She told a story about the three little pigs, a million in Texas. Can you go over here and tell this story? So I started getting invitations from civic groups and organizations and schools to come do storytelling. I thought, well, I really should try to find out more about it. And there was a festival going on in our area, which has been going on since 1992. And the head of the festival introduced me to some other very well known storytellers who kind of gave me the skinny on what was happening. And I started really researching and figuring it out. And it just grew from there.
Wow, wow. So again, songwriter, playwright, storyteller. Now let's talk about acting, because you are an actress as well, and you've acted with Patti LaBelle and Karen Clark Sheard. Tell us about all of that.
Well, the acting it was in my family. I think we had a whole family of actors, but I went to school. That was my major in college, was performing arts. So I actually went to school for performing arts, and I was actually understudy for Greer Garson. And I just laughed because I thought, now, wait a minute. Y'all got me as the understudy for Greer Garson. At that time, I looked about like I look now. Not a whole lot different, maybe a little younger, but about the same, shape, body type, everything. And little Greg Garson was about big as a minute. And I said, y'all didn't make me no dress in case Greer can't get up there. How am I gonna get up there? And. But I met phenomenal people through that. When I was in college, I had an opportunity to do residency with Ben Kingsley, who went on to play Gandhi. He won a grant, won an Oscar. Patrick, what you call it? What's his last name? The one who was on Star Trek. They were doing residency from England. The one who played the. I'll think of it after a while, and I'll tell you. If y'all are in the chat and you know who I'm talking about, put it in the chat.
Put it in the chat.
Ben Kingsley and Patrick. Oh, I wish I could think of his name. But Maureen Stapleton and Marlon Brando and Greer Garson. I mean, and I was in college, so these were the people that I had an opportunity to get an opportunity to meet and do little bit things, come up on the stage with at the thing. And there were only 20 African Americans at my college. 20. I was one of 20. And I was the only one in theater. So when they would do roles, and I was fussing all the time because I said, y'all need to pick plays that have roles that I could be in. They would have to write a cameo for me, carousel, and then they'd have this. Right, that's it. I am Diva Patrick Stewart. Exactly, him. But anyway, they would write a cameo for me to come on, and I wasn't even in the role. I just happened to wander on stage and sing a song, and then wander on. Come on now, she's not even in this show.
Oh my God.
So that was college. So that was my acting, and I really was going to go to Actors Studio in New York. That was the plan. My plan was to go from college to Actors Studio in New York, and all of that was set up. But God had another plan. My mother had cancer, and at that time needed help and care, and I opted to take care of her, and so that kind of put paid to my acting dreams and what I was going to do. And, and then life gets in the way and so many other twists and turns. So that was that.
Wow.
And I did not go to Actor Studio. And I ended up following my minor, which was in social work, and doing that for a season.
So we got singer, actor, songwriter, playwright. Now let's talk about, because you're producing a new series that's coming out about Midland coming up this year, right?
Well, no, we produced it year before last.
Okay.
And I was very, very honored to be able to use the storytelling and the acting and all of that combined to be able to be executive director for a docu-series that was done on Basin PBS public broadcasting system, called Midland Our Stories. And it was telling the story of our community, Midland, Texas, from the African American and Hispanic point of view. And in that whole segment, it took almost 2 years to work on that project. But in that particular documentary, I had an opportunity to interview some outstanding citizens in our community that came here and actually contributed, and we just had not heard their stories. So it was amazing.
Wow. So Sue, all of these things, and that was just 2 years ago. You were 65. You said your age a little bit earlier. You were 65. So, you
Nah,
said
that was
So okay, in life, so you've had some extraordinary things to happen to you, and I was looking over the weekend at some of your interviews on other platforms and everything, and it's one thing you said, and I posted a little bit of it, a clip of it on um, TikTok, where you said that people will try to paint you into a corner when you have dual gifts and you're trying to do it and they'll paint you in a corner, you know, and not to be what is it, a jack of all trades and a master of none. And you was telling people to run on, and if they have the gifts, use them. So how did you get to that place where you, or were you ever faced with people trying to narrow you down or suppress you or put you in the box? Have you
All
ever?
the time.
So how
All
do you
the
break
time.
free from that?
I just try to let them know that they running that over there and I'm running this over here. No, really, it does take a level of self confidence to keep moving forward with what you know you got to do, because people will try to tell you you can't be successful because you're trying to do too much. You need to edit yourself. You can't be jack of all trades, master of none. But that's not the whole quote, you know. But I started reading the word, and I think everybody that's watching, believe what God says about you. Believe what God tells you. Because in the parable, and this has been a parable for my life, and I try not to get happy about that, but stuff goes to crawling up my neck when I think about it. In the parable of the talents, you know how he gave some, two, one, and one five, according to their abilities. So I can't get mad at somebody who only got two. He only had two because that's all the ability you had. But for those who have been given much, much is required. If God gives you these gifts, then He intends for you to use them to improve the landscape around you, to improve the lives of people around you. And if you're not doing it, then you are walking in disobedience because you're not using what He gave you to improve. We are His extensions, and it is through us that He causes the world to be better and be what it's going to be. So He uses us if we will allow Him to. And I did not. Miles Monroe had a message before he passed where he said he wanted to die empty. And that resonated with me because I thought, God, I don't want there to be a book, a song, a poem, a lyric, anything in me that I've just been sitting on and I didn't let it out to enrich the world around me. So that's what I do. And if you operate in biblical order, you may start out just doing one or two things, but the word says that if you are faithful over just a few things, that He'll make you a ruler over many. And then you're going to have to be responsible for a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah. And but you know, so you know, we live in a world now where everything happens instantly. You know, we see people one day they're not famous and the next day they got a million followers on Instagram or TikTok and they are this big celebrity, and we try to translate that over into our own personal lives. So what advice do you give someone who has been doing it but they're not seeing the results that they want to see? What advice do you give them to like continue to move forward in it?
If they think they're not receiving the kind of traction that you want to get, really and truthfully, um, I will tell you that comparison is the thief of joy. And that when I compare myself to other people, I'll always be lacking because there'll always be somebody that's doing more than you. But guess what? There's always somebody doing less than you, too. You're not comparing yourself to them. So I have tried to steer clear of the Joneses syndrome. and comparing myself to what other people are doing and how they're doing, and just know that I'm so unique and so complete as God created me to be, that I am doing what it is that I'm supposed to do. And we all have aspirations, we have dreams, don't get me wrong. But then lots of times we need to just hang around with some people who are positive thinking, that can help you to really, really analyze and see what it is that you're doing and how your perspective needs to sometimes be tweaked just a little bit. It's like your hair kind of, okay, just do it right there like that, just a little bit, just a little bit. It's looking good, just a little bit, do a little bit. Because sometimes we're doing more than we think, and you are being successful in ways that you didn't even imagine. But because our perspective is so limited, what we can see, we're not seeing the big picture, and we don't know all that it is we're really accomplishing.
Wow, I love that. I love that. So, okay, so next question I would have for you, for the audience out here. So, the people who know they have something, whatever that may be, but they are like afraid to step out and do it, what advice would you give them?
I tell them to prayerfully, and I notice I said prayerfully, do it scared. Do it scared. Because I think that fear is healthy. That fear, not paralyzed with fear, scared. But I think that the fear of failure or acceptance, or whatever it is that's holding you back, sometimes that can be healthy, because it will keep you from feeling like you are that. It'll make you hungry enough to try to really be your best. Make certain that you're really prepared to the very best of your ability. And then once you have done that, make yourself a checklist. And again, get with somebody who can help you to see things in a positive light, because sometimes you're just not valuing yourself properly. You don't see the glory that's in you and on you. You're not judging it properly, because you have already disqualified yourself and said, "Oh well, I'm not good enough. I'm not cute enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'll never be able." So you've already disqualified yourself, but somebody else is clearly seeing, "Oh my God, there is something special about him. Look at There's something about that dude. He is really unique." And they can help you to gain some perspective. I'm not talking about the yes people who just, gaslight you and blow you up so you'll give them $5. But I'm talking about the people who will genuinely try to share with you that your gifts are really illuminating, and that they do make a difference. And once you have been able to see that and understand that, it will cause you to be able to have a little bit better perspective.
Wow. And yeah, and that is so true. So many times we disqualify ourselves before we even start. We already disqualify ourselves. So another question for you, Sue, and I mean we're wrapping this up here, but another question for you. A lot of times our world is so noisy that we can't hear. It's like God is telling us He's cleared us to go for it, but we got our own self-doubt, we got our own family problems, and it's just all of this noise in our head that we can't silence it to really hear God's voice. Is like it's almost drowned out because all life is just life and in our head. What do you do to silence yourself so that you can hear God's voice clear?
Well, one of the things that I love to do is watch cartoons.
But that gets you back to your creative side to that kid.
Yeah, because it's so what do I want to I don't want to say it's mindless because that would be disrespectful to the folk that created the cartoon because they really are spending time getting that together for Junior. But it's not it's not as intense as some of the things that we're concerned with. And when I look at the world through that lens, it just kind of realigns where I am. We take ourselves so seriously, and really the Bible tells us to wear this world like a loose garment. Don't let it drag you down, don't let it weigh you down, don't let it pull you down, and don't let it pull you in to thinking that this is all there is, because really it's not that serious. The one thing that is serious is your relationship with the Lord. And if you get that right, then everything else will line up. So I love doing that. I love spending time with people that are older than me. Now, believe it or not, there are some people older than me. Yeah, twice a month. Twice a month, the first and third Tuesdays of every month, I go to the Southeast Senior Center and I conduct a sing along where I play and we sing hymns and other inspirational music, and just talking to people who have been there and done that. And they just have wisdom and gems to share. And so I just sit and listen to what they're talking about and what is important to them. And some of the things that we think are so important, it ain't that. It ain't that. And it just bring you right on back around and say, pay attention, girl. That is not that important. It ain't all that. That's gonna pass. It's gonna be over tomorrow. Whatever it is that is really perplexing you at this minute, it'll be all right. It'll be all
Yeah,
right.
it'll be all right. Yeah, that's something that I've learned here recently, and I used to say this all the time too, though. But everything is a moment. Your good times, it's a moment. It's gonna pass. Your bad times, it's a moment. It's gonna pass. Everything comes and it goes, and just endure it, keep it moving, and hey, yeah, it's gonna pass. So, Sue, what's next for you?
Well, let me see. Let me see. Well, I have um, a podcast, of course, Moments with Mama Sue. I do that. And you've been on my podcast.
Yeah, it's amazing platform, guys. So when you go follow her on Facebook, you'll see all of it out there.
You can go back in YouTube and find John. He was on there looking cute, looking fly. I have aspirations still to um, do a couple of things that are on my bucket list. I still want to do Broadway one of these days. I don't know when, how. I don't know if it'll be Broadway in Midland America or where, but I plan to do Broadway. I want to do that. I have some books that are coming up. I have a book of poetry that I'm working on right now, completing. I also have some vacation Bible school literature and some different things that I've created for kids that I want to be able to put out there. I have a Christmas EP that I want to do. It's just a lot of stuff. And so come on and roll with me. I'm creating as we go through, and a lot of this is already done. I just need to publish it and market it properly. But yeah, yeah.
Wow. Wow. And people, I'm telling you this here, like for real, go follow Sue because no lie, like for me, just watching her and she continues, she's so innovative. She's constantly creating and, pushing herself to new heights and levels. And Sue, that is definitely like an inspiration, because it is so easy to give up sometimes because stuff is not moving, but you see it through. You push, you just keep going, and God places you in these places to connect with people that is just doing, allowing you to these platforms to do great things. I'm happy to know you.
I'm happy to know you. Have
Yeah.
y'all seen his muscles?
So we about to have a benediction here now.
I just had to make you blush one time.
So I am Diva said, this is awesome. Keep walking in your gifts and doing what makes your heart happy. Love it. Blessings.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank
thank
you. Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this, let's see here what we got here. Really informative. Love it. My first time watching. Thank you for coming in on tonight. And let's see how I'm gonna go
Thank
through
you,
some of these here.
Martha.
We have Dora from Austin. You remember she's the Austin
Yes,
chapter.
yes. Hey,
Yeah.
Dora.
Hey Dora, you did reach a lot of people. That's what it's all about. Pleasing God. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
Wow, that's really, really good. So, everybody, again, Sue's information is scrolling across the bottom there. Please go out and follow her on Instagram. She is Mama Sue Music. On TikTok, Mama Sue Roseberry. And on Facebook, she's Mama Sue Roseberry. And if you want to book, Sue, if they want to book you, they can go to your website, or how do we book you?
Yeah, you can book me there. You can go to my website. We'll give you contact, and it's there on the screen. John has supplied that. And then you can also, as the young folks say, hit me and go slide into my DM and start the process, and we'll try our best to work with you. There's a big venture that I am praying about, and I will just tell you all, just be praying for me. Just say, Lord, that thing that is on Mama Sue's heart and mind to do, just let it come to fruition, because I believe it's of God. And I'm just really praying about how to move forward with that. And you keep thinking, Lord, why did you wait until I was to give me this inspiration to do all of this? But he makes no mistakes, and he knows
Mm,
exactly what it is and when it is that we need to do it.
yeah, wow.
So,
And so the reason I asked you about that black BMW, I don't know if you even remember this here. I think we were in Lufkin, Texas, or not Lufkin, Golden Triangle. We were down at the Golden Triangle, Beaumont, and you were in the BMW with you and your brother, and you had just came because it was in November. You had just drove from uh St. Louis because you were at the Koji convention to Texas Mass, and then you was on that Texas Mass, and you was leaving Texas Mass going somewhere else. I'm like, and you was driving all of this stuff. That's why I said, do she still have that BMW?
it has said, "C'est la vie." But listen, and that's a whole nother story about these luxury cars.
Y'all, Mama Sue is she is a traveler. If you ever need a road trip partner, call her. She'll roll with you because she do not mind driving. She do, because I was so blown away by that. You were like driving everywhere.
Well, sometimes it's the most expedient way. And if you have lots of things to do along the way, then you can stop and do what you got to do. If you got to cart a lot of stuff, if you got to do different things. So it just makes it easy. And if you live in Texas, you already know we live out here in the wide open spaces in the Lone Star State. So the easiest way to get from point A to point B, if you live in remote West Texas, you might as well just get on behind the wheel. Behind the wheel.
Mama Sue, thank you for coming on here. I am so honored and so appreciative of you coming on here. This has been amazing.
Well, thank you for having me. I feel honored that you asked me.
Absolutely. I mean, this you inspire me. So I wanted everybody to witness you and see you in a bigger lens than just that narrow little lens. We've had people have put you in Mama Sue Sunday's best. No, she is like this major force that everybody need to experience before they cross over.
Ooh, before they cross over.
Before they cross over. Oh, and Brandon is your son-in-law, right? That's
Uh-huh.
that's his name. I was on YouTube and you were singing Little Drummer Boy, and I saw him on the keys. What's up, Brandon? I ain't seen him in years, but what's going on,
And
man?
he's still playing, and now I have 8 grandchildren.
Oh wow.
I had 2 daughters, and then through them I have 8 grandchildren, 7 boys and 1 little girl, just
Oh,
one.
wow, she spoiled.
She the last of the Mohicans, and yes, she is rotten, but she don't stink.
Oh, she doesn't sing?
She doesn't stink.
Oh, stink. Oh,
She's
okay, okay,
rotten,
stink,
but she
stink,
don't
stink.
stink.
So do any of them sing?
Oh yeah, they sing. They sing. They sing.
Wow.
Very talented kids. Very.
Wow. Wow. Everyone, thank you for joining in on tonight. Next Monday, I have Coach Kevin. He's going to be on here, and we are talking breaking free from narcissist abuse and relationships. So we'll be talking about that on next week. And we are over halfway through the season, and it has been an amazing season. So don't forget, those are still out there. Don't forget to click on like, go follow Mama Sue, and we'll see you all next Monday. Peace. Mama Sue.